Plays in the pass game and in the return game. He was a huge factor for us today, and I think he's a dude that he fuels off of that confidence and that energy.
His hometown's getting crushed by that hurricane, or it was getting crushed. Did anyone speak with him about that? Were you aware of that? I mean, have you handled it? Obviously, it's got to be something kind of on his mind.
Yeah, well, I actually hadn't talked to him about it. Really, I didn't even think about it until you brought it up. But obviously, thoughts and prayers, anything going on down there. Hopefully, his family is staying safe. It wasn't something that I
didn't mean to surprise you with it.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Are you about where you thought you would be as an offense through 3 weeks? A little ahead, a little behind? How would you assess it?
It's hard to kind of say this is where I thought we would be because I didn't want to sit here and think about where we'd be in 3 weeks when we're trying to focus on App State and all that kind of stuff. But I'm happy where we're at. We got a lot of things for us to get better on, clean up some things, really focus, start honing in on some details as we get in the Big Ten schedule. But I'm not going to sit here and say I'm disappointed with us, averaging probably close to 50 points or something at this point. So, it's something that we need to continue to clean up some things and focus on the details and execution. But where we're at as far as scoring points and getting production, I'm happy with it.
When the passing game starts a little bit slow, kind of like it did today, do you consciously think to yourself, I need to get something going maybe with my legs and maybe look to run a little bit more just to spark the team a little bit?
Not necessarily. It really is just kind of executing whatever's asked of me, whether it be a pass or run. If it's a handoff, and it's just carrying out my fake, doing whatever I need to do on every play to make the team successful.
You get a little bit of a thrill, though, of doing it with your legs? I mean, because a lot of people don't expect a quarterback to, score 3 touchdowns, that kind of thing. Do you get off on that a little bit?
If any way I can help the team, and like I said, if that's just getting in the end zone, running the ball, and 2 of them were like just 1-yard runs, nothing too spectacular, but just getting the ball in the end zone, I think that's the biggest thing. So anything I can do to help our team be successful, get points on the board.
Do you have any idea how good you guys are? I mean, there seems to be these moments where you look like one team, and then moments when you look like another team. I mean, where are you in the self-discovery of what you can expect out of you guys anyway?
I think we're still kind of learning that. We obviously need to be a lot more consistent. Like you said, there's times where we're showing flashes like a top team in the country, like we feel like we should. But there's other times where we're not executing right. We're giving up penalties. We're being undisciplined and things like that. So I think that's the biggest thing. We just need to be more consistent. And when we're firing all cylinders and we're looking like one of the top teams in the country, we need to continue to do that consistently and not have those fallbacks where we get undisciplined, things like that.
What do you think the biggest hurdle is for this team in the Big Ten? What's the thing that you guys have to get better at to do what you want to do?
Just cleaning up, like I said, focusing on details and being more disciplined. I think those are the biggest things. And really, the last 2 weeks we had a lot of explosive plays taken back by penalties and taking points off the board from that. So I think if we can clean those things up and just become more consistent and focus on our details, we'll be in good shape.
Does this feel like the time of year where you have to start? I mean, you've always been a leader on this team, but do you elevate that more now that you guys are at a point of the year where everything gets bigger and bigger? There's no turning back now, really.
I think with how Coach Franklin and his process and how every game is a big game and how every game is a Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff, it makes it easier so that you're not having to flip a switch when it gets to conference schedule. Everything matters at this point. And everything has always mattered. It doesn't matter who you're lining up against. And I think that's the best thing about how Coach Franklin preaches to our team and the mentality that we approach every single game like it's our Super Bowl. That you don't have to then flip that switch when it gets to conference schedule. That switch is used to being flipped on for every game.
Was that a hard thing to buy into back in the day? Because I'm sure when you were playing in high school or before that, you could look at your schedule and go, oh, that's the team from across town, we're going to play them in 3 weeks. At some point, you had to decide that every game was the same.
It really wasn't hard to buy into. It's a pretty simple concept, honestly, when you kind of think about it. It's just treat every game like it's a Super Bowl and focus solely on that. And it's pretty simple, and I know it's something that a lot of people can think that it's a little more complex, but if you just look at it as it is, that just focus on the next opponent, focus on the next game, it makes it a lot easier.
Short week this week, how important are team leaders to make sure that not a moment's wasted?
That'll be very important this week for us. As we had a meeting, kind of earlier in the week with Coach Franklin that was just he meets with the leadership council all the time. One thing that got brought up was how to approach kind of a short week and things like that, because we've never, as players, we want to know what we need to do. So A big thing is going to be on the leadership of this team, being able to make sure that guys are getting in and watching a ton of film early and taking ownership of that and understanding that it's going to come quick and it's going to come quicker than we're used to. And then a big thing is going to be recovery. It's just doing everything you can. We've been talking about it kind of through this week. If you can get an extra 30 minutes of sleep a night, you'll end up making time up over the course of now it's 6 days, but when we were talking about it was 13, 14 days. So that's just something that we've been talking about for really a week, just making sure that we're getting enough sleep. This week obviously we prepared for this game, but then to help us as we were moving on, and that's something that I think we did a really good job of, and we just need to kind of continue to harp on those things. That recovery aspect is going to be huge.